The other day I was thinking about my prescription, you know, uh, channels I have, and I was also thinking about how, you know, uh, when I was young and I used to get out of school and I used to come home and I used to watch television. I used to watch all those shows on TV. Uh, commercials never bothered me back then, and I just don't know why commercials bothers me so much anymore. I really don't. I don't know why commercials bother me the way they do. I don't know. It just freaks me out. The point I'm making here is that you know with that COVID lockdown thing, we all got so into watching television and all these streaming services. That's when the streaming services took off, and then the streaming services are kind of struggling right now because everybody's just jumping from one to the other. But then it got me thinking. You know, I remember. You know how I bought my Dodge Dart? You know how I bought my Dodge Dart? I bought my Dodge Dart by watching the commercial. Seriously. I bought my Dodge Dart literally by watching the commercial. I have a Ford Ranger out there. Uh, it's an 80. It's an 80. I think it's an 84. Or no, it's a 2000 and it's a 2012. Yeah, it's a 2012 Ford Ranger. You know how I got that Ford Ranger? I got that Ford Ranger by watching the commercial. You know how I got my PlayStations and all that? I got it through a commercial. Kept watching commercials. I kept watching the way they made the commercials. I kept watching the way that they were marketing the commercials and the way that they was being so creative in how they were doing the commercials. And I said to myself, I don't like commercials now. And I don't know why. It's because we're so spoiled. Because we have access to so much stuff and everything's at our fingertips. But I think that's the one reason why we're hurting cash wise. It's because, you know, those those back in those days, those cable companies, they were thriving off the fact that they could make, you know, all those commercials, and we watched them. You know, I remember when I used to watch a show, I used to say, "Oh, it's a commercial." I used to actually get up and use the restroom. And I used to actually, when you had a family, one family didn't have to do nothing. You'd say, "Holler at me if it comes back on," and somebody say, "Hey," they holler either dad or they holler somebody's name, and they say, "What?" It says, "Back on now," and you run back in, you sit down, and you watch the show. Do you remember all that? Do you remember all that? Some of you probably don't. I was just thinking, I was like, man, what has really changed? You know, and now, I don't know what's coming out of all this, because we want to save money, but we want stuff, we want access to stuff, but at the same time we want to save money, but at the same time we pay more for streaming services just so we don't have commercials. And the streaming services are getting are knowing that. So there's like, hey, we ain't gonna have these commercials on here because they make money off the commercials because the commercials need them to just use their commercials so they can get stuff out there. Uh, y'all remember a commercial called Pop Pop Fizz Fizz? Oh, what a relief it is! Pop Pop Fizz Fizz. Oh, what a relief it is! All this started coming back into me. All this Square Mill, Square Deal at Ponderosa, Square Mill, Square Deal at Ponderosa. That was a commercial for Ponderosa. Now Ponderosa, I don't even think they're around anymore. I remember when Red Lobster had commercials. Red Lobster, their businesses are being shut down too because they're just not as big as they used to be. I'm using some of these commercial ideas to give you guys an idea that it was the commercials that got us out there to go try these products out. You know, you know. I got a Dodge Dart. I'm getting ready to take to the car wash. I'm going to wash it up. But the only reason why I like that Dodge Dart is because when that Dodge Dart first came out, they don't make them no more. But when it first came out, I kept saying, "Man, I love that car. Man, I love that car." I want that car. I want that car. It was the commercials that they made for that Dodge Dart, man, them Dodge Darts took off like fire, you know. And then, when you're out and about and you're out and about in life, you see somebody driving something, or you see a car go by, or you go to a parking lot, or you see something, or whatever, and that helped too. But the commercials that was on the TV is what really had an impact on how you buy products. Um, Magazines also is another one. Uh, Believe it or not, when you got a magazine and that magazine was for something, it had commercials in the magazine. It had ads inside the magazine. It was a magazine full of ads. You had articles, and then you had, you know, advertisements for something. And you look at it and you'd be like, oh man, that's pretty cool. I wonder what that is. And then you might see it in the store or something. Now, where am I going with this? Okay, where am I going with this? Is that if I was to go to Max right now and I get you know, the commercial one, I would save myself almost $10. $10. If I would go to Peacock and go to their ad free, I would save $6. Yeah. If I go to Netflix's ad free, I think I would save $6. See where I'm heading with this? Now, if y'all out there calling yourselves trying to cut the cord and trying to save money and trying to cut costs, then, you know, we might have to go back to old school. Old school is how we used to watch TV shows. Because our lives are so busy and so complex anymore, man. It's just, I spent all day traveling yesterday. I mean, all day traveling. I have a sick sister, and she lives 6 hours away. I had to travel down there and go see her, and I had to travel all the way back home. That was I left at 4:30 a.m. and I didn't get home till 9 p.m. And I'm thankful to God I got to see her, but then I got home. I wanted to watch something. I turned on my TV and I fell asleep. But the point I'm making is that if you really want to save money, then y'all need to go back to what you once did back in the day when we just came home and it was just regular cable television. Or even your little rabbit ears back in the day. I remember when I was in the 7th grade, man, because I would get out of school, man. You know how many channels we had? I lived out in the sticks. I'm a country boy anyway because I grew up on the farm. I had Channel 22, I had Channel 7, and it was called DTN Channel 2. So you had 22, you had 7, you had Channel 7, you had 22, you had 22, 2, and 7. And I think there was a couple of those shows like PBS or something like that was in back then. But that was back in, I graduated in 78. Nah, you're talking about 70s. And then after that, they start, I remember when Fox 45 first started. Fox 45 is big, but they started out. I remember when they first started out. Again, when you watch television, you actually watch television and you sit through those daggone commercials. You actually sit through those commercials. You actually sit through them. Or you went and got something out of the kitchen. You went in the kitchen and grabbed yourself a beer, or you went in there and grabbed a bag of chips and some dip, or whatever. You had no DVR, you had none of that stuff. You just sit back and you just went and about. You said, "Look, you say you might look at your wife or your girlfriend or one of your buddies was over. You go like, man, I'm gonna use the restroom. I'll be back, man. It's gonna be about 3 of those commercials on." And I remember when we used to watch the commercials back then, you used to be like, man, what is that? Man, that is freaking, oh, man, I like that, But now it's like we can't sit through those commercials. Now, what I don't like about commercials is when you have, I don't like talking about this. I don't like commercials that's commercializing men being with men and women being with women. I can't stand it. That's one of the main reasons why I like to go ad free. I just don't want to see that mess. I have friends that way. It's fine. You do you, I'll do me, but I don't want to see that. Now, if you want to talk about buying some cooking appliances or some Whirlpools and some Samsungs and stuff like that, I'm all down for that. But not no 2 men sitting in the kitchen with aprons on and we're married and we want to have a child. I don't want to see that shit. Pardon my French. I don't. But that's fine because I have friends that way. But those are the type of commercials that irks me. I don't like talking about that stuff. But if you're trying to sell a car, you're trying to sell a microwave, or you're trying to sell, or you're talking about losing your hair and getting hair implants and all that kind of stuff, or go to this doctor, maybe he can help you, with something, that's different. That they're doing it to make money and get you to go call them so they can, you know, get you to go there and they give you all this information and some of that stuff's legit. But at the end of the day, you guys, those commercials, man, we grew up on those commercials. We actually grew up on those commercials. I just, you know, it, to, for me, I'm kind of spoiled. I'm just gonna put it out there because even if I go commercials, I'm gonna be like, oh God, I gotta watch it. And yeah, I should just get up and go do something. I should get up and see if my clothes are dry in the dryer, or I don't know, man. If the commercial comes on, just I don't know, just go do something, man, for like a couple minutes. You got the music, you got it. You can turn the TV up loud just to get past your commercials. But uh, this is all about streaming services and stuff like that. I just think that uh, at the end of the day, I think that everybody should get them like maybe 2 or 3 streaming services and just go commercial. If you're all about if you're all about saving money. Now, if you got money and you want to, if you just don't want, because I'm gonna tell you this, if you keep going that route every year, if you have noticed, these streaming services keep jacking the price up on the ad free ones because what's that telling you? It's that they have to jack the price up on the ad free because the more people they get on ad free, the more money they're not going to make off getting those sponsors for being able to put commercials on their site. That's how they make money. It's through those commercials. Commercials will give them a little bit of kickback. Says, hey, could you play? Because I would not know a lot about a lot of stuff that I even come in contact with. Squeeze. Please don't squeeze the Charmin. Remember that one? You know, please don't squeeze the Charmin. And God, I can name off so many of them. Here's another one. If you ever look, there's times where you can get on YouTube and you can say all the commercials back in the early 2000s, or all the commercials back in the 90s, all the commercials of the 80s, all the commercials of the 70s. Why is that? Because we grew up on all that stuff. We grew up on that and we're like, oh man, I remember that. Oh man, they don't even make that no more. I wonder whatever happened to that product. You always say all that stuff. It just I was just sitting here thinking, man, because I'm getting ready to go outside and I'm gonna go wash my Dodge Dart because I drove it all day yesterday. But I was sitting there thinking, man, it's like, man, I remember I used to watch television and none of this stuff bothered me back then. What happened? What went wrong? Or what drove us to that? Now I know what drove us to that. And another thing that drove us is I years ago I was at work and that's back before cable started taking the nosedive. That's before COVID ever hit, and people had this this network, DirecTV, Time Warner Cable, all these you know cable services. They were huge back then, and I used to ask them, man, what'd you pay for your cable? One guy said, we paid $135. One guy said we paid $169. One guy said, oh man, I gotta have this, I gotta have this. It's like $180. They had no problem paying that bill. No problem. Only thing people did back then was sometimes Time Warner, DirecTV somebody would say Time Warner, you would call DirecTV, and DirecTV is like, what are you paying for Time Warner? And they'll tell you, well, I'll give you a better deal if you go with us, and that's the only thing you did. Or Time Warner go like, well, if you're going to go to DirecTV, we'll give you this, so you could get them to give you a better package, all that. That's the only thing that happened back then. But back then, we was watching commercials. Also, when the DVR came into play, DVR was cool because you just came home and you DVR'd everything, and then you could fast forward, through those commercials. I ain't buying no DVR. I ain't buying no DVR. I used to have a DVR when I had my cable service, but I just, I don't have a DVR. Now YouTube Live is the best. To me, YouTube TV is the best platform out there. To me, they are numero uno. They really are. They're numero uno. I just can't afford them, man. I just don't feel like dropping no. I get at the end of the day, it's like I don't know, close to $80 a month. I just don't feel like dropping $80 a month. I don't really like dropping $60 a month. So I like to drop about, I don't know, $30 for my streaming services. And that, to me, that should be for streaming. That should be like, I don't know, like, for instance, a streaming service out there that needs recognition is Apple Plus. Apple Plus got some top tier stuff on their site. Nobody subscribed to them. They got a very small subscriber base, but they're really good. They have some top quality stuff on there. People ought to, you guys ought to check that out there, y'all. But that's just me. And they're only $10. $10. They ain't got no ad tier and this and that and all that. This just a flat out $10. And they cannot get anybody hardly to subscribe to their channel. You know what I mean? So, all these streaming services, they were cheap at one time. They were all cheap. Even Netflix is getting pricey. I got almost 500 and something. I think I'm getting close to 500 physical copies in here. That's not to mention box sets of season shows. I mean, if I had to, I could turn off everything and just come home and watch these movies. Because sometimes when I get after my full day, I only have like time to play a video game or time to watch a show. Like, Peacock, they have stuff on there that I like to watch. But sometimes I can't even watch it because I have to have a day where I could just actually watch something, Like Max has got that Penguin on there. I like Penguin, but I think it's violent. It's not my type of show, but it is a good show, But I got Max just so I could watch Salem's Lot that most people didn't like. And I really like the show. So what I'm just trying to say is that if you guys truly, truly into this so-called, you're cutting the cord, I'm going all streaming and all this stuff with the process of the COVID thing and the lockdown and all the streaming services investing all this money in there. Now all the streaming services are bleeding money. Now they got to try to figure out how to make all that back. If you want to support your streaming service and you want to support your pocket, then I suggest sit down, think about what you once were when you were younger. It was less than 15. What was it? 12 years ago? 13 years ago? You could just sit down and watch a show and you just get up and go in the kitchen and most people have a boyfriend or girlfriend or somebody living with them. They go, hey, holler at me when the show comes back on. Holler at me when the show comes back on. Because y'all ain't going back to cable. Y'all ain't going back to none of that. Because I'm telling you, these cable services, they're going to be way of the dodo pretty soon. They're going to be way of the dodo. They're going to be way of the dodo. And they definitely going down. So they ain't making a rebound, I don't think. But what I am saying is I can hear this, I want to save money. People can't afford this, people can't afford that. Then go to the ad-free. Not only are you supporting yourself and you watching stuff that you want to watch and you're saving money, you helping that site out by going ad-free. You don't think that Max, Peacock, Netflix, Paramount Plus, all of them, you don't think they like the fact that you hit the ad one instead of the ad-free one? Yeah, they might sit there and go, well, we got a lot of ad-free people, but we're going to have to jack the price up on next year because they're not telling you how much money they're probably getting for just having all those commercials on there. Because y'all cannot tell me, none of you out there cannot tell me that you noticed you found things on your own. You found things through watching TV. You found things through just logging on your computer. I can't even click on my computer sometimes. I got a little laptop. I'll open it up and something will pop up. Once in a while, I'll just blow it off. 70% of the time I'll blow it off. But once in a while, I'll be like, what is this? And I'll look. I'll read a little bit. If it's good, I'll keep reading. Most of the time, I'll read a little bit and I go, that ain't nothing. But if it is something that catches your attention or just gets you clicked in, you dial in, you start reading more. You be like, well, this is interesting. Then you might take whatever you just read and you click on YouTube, because YouTube is the best out. That's the best site on the planet. My best two things on the planet right now, as far as viewing wise, is if I had my choice and I had an extra $200, I'm talking about $200 that I just had laying around, I just had no use for, YouTube Live, YouTube TV be the number one thing. YouTube TV, because that's not, I ain't talking no Hulu Live. I ain't into that. Disney owns them. But YouTube TV would be the number one thing I have in this house. Now, I don't have them anymore. I only had them for 1 month. I got rid of them. And then YouTube, which is YouTube. And I'm going to tell you something else too. I like YouTube for people like us. I don't like YouTube for big people. I just don't. You guys had your shot. Y'all had y'all shot. Y'all had y'all shot in the media. Y'all had y'all shot when you were famous. Y'all had y'all shot when you was making all that money. Now you guys kind of coming down off your little high rocker. Now you want to infiltrate in on YouTube. And some of these people out here, they just, oh, that's what's your name, and they click on them. You guys know they're making money off y'all, right? So not only did they get famous, and they were famous, and they did good at what they did, now they all, you notice all the networks and all ESPN, Fox, you name it. Some of those talk show hosts have small TV clips on YouTube. Because why? It's because YouTube is the biggest platform out there. Yeah. But at one time, they relied on the TV service. But then they started saying, man, there's a whole lot of people that watch YouTube, which is YouTube, just YouTube. And now they're all on there. Steve Cobain, you got news outlets that got their little clips on there. If you like this, please subscribe. They even got a channel there. Don't get me wrong, everybody's welcome, but I even got movie stars that I just won't click to. I'm like, you guys had your shot. You guys had your shot. I'm more of a person that over somewhere in the United States, somebody that's in different parts of this country that's got a YouTube channel, and they're very creative, and they got my attention, and I'll subscribe to their channel. And sure, I want them to do well. But when I see an ex-movie star on there and they got like 200 million subscribers, the only reason why they got 200 million subscribers is because they was already famous, and everybody's like, yeah, but they are cool, man. They're just trying to be like us. Yeah, I guess I get it, but, I say, like, you got Jack Black, Will Smith, all them, they ain't getting no support from me, because they already making money. I'm not support. I mean, I'm just saying. Now, you probably sit there and say, you don't like them? No, it's not what I said. What I said was, these people are already famous, and then they want to infiltrate into homemade something. See, me, YouTube has been a homemade thing, and it was the homemade people that made YouTube big. And they're so big now that all your stars and all that. Now, am I saying they're not allowed to be on here? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, man, you guys had your shot. I'm all about just, and then there are some YouTubers out there that got so big that I don't like them anymore. I was like, you lost your luster. You're too big. It's almost like watching regular TV. And a lot of them, I don't even watch them no more, It was something about, I'm late to YouTube too, but there's something about when I got on YouTube and it just was like, I seen somebody in a closet that they cleaned out and they got stuff decorated in the back and they're being creative about what they're talking about. God, there's something about that. But even, sometimes I think YouTube, the people in YouTube has lost their core. I'd rather support a smaller channel than support these bigger channels that got real big, because they just seem like like movie critics. I used to love, God, there's so many of them. Jeremy John, Chris Strutman, John Campea. I used to love John Campea. But John Campea, every time I turn around, man, John Campea went to another studio. He went and got a studio over here, then that didn't work out. He got a studio downtown, that didn't work out. He has people on there, then he don't like them. He gets rid of them and all that. He was the best when he was in his house. And he had his little Funko Pops in the back, and he have somebody on maybe once a week, you know, and I always call it the main two. He used to have that one woman on that's an actress, and he used to have Robert Bernard Burnett on there, but he only had him on there like maybe once a week or twice a week, and it was just mostly John Campea, and you could interact with that dude. But he sucks now to me, and I like John Campea, but you know he works hard, he busts his ass, and his new platform, Mint Mobile and all that, shaving your balls and all that. He's got all these spines. It just ain't the same. And I like Jeremy John. I really do. He stays the same. But I often watch him sometimes. I'm like, damn, dude, do you really like watching movies or not? Because I don't know how he can sit in there, because it is his job to watch all those movies. And he has never changed. He's never changed. He's always still behind the thing, and he's always stayed true. So I didn't dog on John Campea. I just don't like the way he changed up. I like his old stuff. God, I love his old stuff. I used to actually come home, and when I worked out, I used to turn him up on my surround sound. And I literally work out. It was about 7 years ago when he kept doing all that changing stuff, man. I missed that old John Campea show, but God bless him, man, because I ain't got nothing against him. But I have to say, Jeremy John has always stayed the same. He's always behind the camera. He's got the red screen or the blue screen. I don't know how he does it, but he never does anything different. That's what I like about him. He's just been Jeremy John. Chris Struckman's the same thing. I don't know what's going on with Chris Struckman. I heard some stuff about Chris Struckman. He did this and said something about Madam Web and wasn't being honest about his views, and people was upset about him. I said, I pay that crap no attention. But I was... there was a couple of horror channels out there that I really liked that was homemade, but I just don't get in those two guys. They kind of got big, and I could see they're changing them. Cody Leach, I used to love Cody Leach, but I just think he got too big, and he just don't seem the same. I used to love that guy's channel. Him and Drum Dum, I used to support their channels. I love their stuff, man. I used to love their stuff. They seem different. It seems like you get bigger, you just get, I don't know, you lose something. Then there's some people that just gets big and they just stay the same. I don't know. And it could be me. But anyway, if you want to save money, I suggest go to Max, switch up. Go to the ads. Go to Paramount Plus. Go to the ads. Go to Peacock. Go to the ads. Not only are you watching what you want to watch, but you're also helping out that thing. Because I ain't gonna lie, you guys, at the end of the day, I mean, you go to Netflix, go to ads. Because Netflix keeps jacking up their rates too. That's all you gotta do. Now I got MGM Plus, and I got Shudder, but they're cheap. They're seriously cheap. Now when you start seeing them, and I got Apple Plus, but Apple Plus is just $10. But they were $6, $5.99. Now they're $10. So all I'm saying is, if you want to save money, go and do the ads. Because think about it. There's some of y'all out there that's 10 years younger than me, 20 years younger than me, 30 years younger than me. It don't matter how old you are. Think about how you watched television back in the day. And then you sit there and go, that guy's on to something. I used to watch commercials all the time. I actually used to say, oh man, this commercial's coming on. I'm going to go use the restroom or something. Man, holler at me when the show comes back on. And then you had DVR that came in. Anyway, that's all I got. God bless, take care. But it's just a random thought I had. Have a good day.